In the heart of a vast snow-covered wilderness, a seasoned woodsman named Jack was tracking a deer. The silence of the forest was absolute, broken only by the crunch of his boots on the fresh powder. But then a sound pierced the stillness, a sound unlike any animal cry he had ever heard. It was a high-pitched, mournful wail, almost like a human baby, but with a strange guttural resonance that sent a shiver down his spine. Curiosity and concern overriding his caution, Jack abandoned his hunt and followed the sound. The cries grew louder, more desperate. He pushed through a thicket of snow-laden pines, and what he saw made him freeze in his tracks. There, huddled at the base of an ancient, gnarled oak tree, was a small, shivering creature. It was covered in thick, dark fur, and its face, with large, expressive eyes, was remarkably human-like. It was an infant, barely larger than a human toddler, and it was crying, tears freezing on its furry cheeks. Jack's mind reeled. The local legends, the blurry photos, the campfire stories. Could they be real? He was looking at a baby Bigfoot. Its tiny body was trembling violently from the cold. Jack could see its parents were nowhere in sight. There were no tracks nearby, except for his own, and the tiny ones from the infant. It seemed utterly alone, abandoned to the mercy of the unforgiving winter. Jack's heart, toughened by years in the wild, melted. He couldn't just leave it here to perish. Carefully, he shrugged off his heavy parka, approached the creature slowly, and wrapped it in the warm lining. The infant's cries subsided into soft whimpers as it felt the warmth, and it looked up at him with those enormous, intelligent eyes. Back at his remote cabin, Jack was in a state of disbelief. He had a baby Sasquatch in his living room, now sleeping peacefully by the fireplace, wrapped in a wool blanket. He named him Echo for the way his cries had echoed through the silent woods. The first few days were a challenge. What does a baby Bigfoot eat? After some trial and error, he found Echo had a surprising appetite for warm milk, mashed berries, and sweet potatoes. As Echo regained his strength, a playful and gentle personality began to emerge. He would clumsily chase dust bunnies, play peekaboo behind the furniture, and communicate with a series of soft coos and chirps. A profound bond formed between the man and the mythical creature. Jack, a loner by choice, found his cabin filled with a new kind of warmth. Echo would follow him everywhere, his big feet padding softly on the wooden floors. He'd sit and watch with rapt attention as Jack carved wood, occasionally letting out a happy gurgle. Jack taught him simple games, and Echo, in return, taught Jack about a different kind of companionship. One built on pure trust and unspoken understanding. Jack knew he had a secret that could change the world, but he also knew revealing it would mean a life in a cage for Echo. He vowed to protect him. One evening, as a blizzard raged outside, Jack was reading by the fire. Echo, now noticeably bigger and stronger, was dozing at his feet. Suddenly, Echo's head shot up. His ears twitched, and he let out a low, deep rumble that vibrated through the floorboards. It wasn't a sound of fear, but of recognition. He went to the heavy wooden door and nudged it with his head, looking back at Jack with pleading eyes. Jack's heart sank. He knew this moment would come. He opened the door, and the wind howled, whipping snow into the cabin. Through the swirling snow, Jack saw them, two colossal, shadowy figures standing at the edge of the tree line. They were massive, at least 8 or 9 feet tall, their shaggy forms almost blending into the night. They weren't menacing, they simply stood there, silent and patient. One of them let out a low, rumbling caller sound that was a deeper, more mature version of the cry Jack had first heard in the woods. Echo answered with an excited chirp and bounded out into the snow, running straight towards the towering figures. The smaller of the two giants, presumably the mother, bent down and gently scooped Echo into her arms. She nuzzled him, a gesture of pure love that needed no translation. The larger one, the father, then took a step forward. He looked directly at Jack, who stood frozen in his doorway. The creature's eyes, ancient and wise, held no malice. It simply raised one enormous fur-covered hand, not in a threat, but in a clear, unmistakable gesture. It was a wave, a gesture of acknowledgement, of gratitude. Then, just as silently as they had appeared, the family of 3 turned and vanished back into the swirling blizzard, disappearing into the heart of the forest. Jack stood in the open doorway, the cold wind biting at his face, but he didn't feel it. He was watching the empty space where they had been, a mix of sadness and awe washing over him. His cabin felt empty, the silence heavier than before. But he wasn't truly alone. He had been given a glimpse into a world hidden from our own, and he had been trusted with its most precious secret. He knew he'd carry the memory of Echo and that final, silent thank you for the rest of his days. What Jack experienced challenges everything we think we know. It suggests a level of intelligence, emotion, and family structure in these creatures that science has long dismissed. It's a reminder that there are still profound mysteries in the wild places of our world. Wonders that deserve our respect and protection, not our capture and scrutiny. Jack never saw Echo or his family again, but every time he walked in those woods, he felt a presence, a silent guardianship. He kept his promise, and the secret of the Sasquatch remained safe in the heart of the forest. Thank you so much for watching. What would you have done in Jack's position? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love stories that explore the great unknowns, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more incredible tales. We'll see you next time.